I feel like we are at the peak of our industry. If ever there's going to be millionaires in the next 5 years, they're going to come from life insurance.
Hi, everybody. Grady Polson. Welcome to the America Agency. Okay, two final questions as we wrap this up. So, because this is just exceptional, Bilha, your volume at $1 million of issue rate, like, are you just running massive apps from $100 to 2, 3, 4? You push them up a little bit, 3, 4, 500, or do you have a lot of big cases? Was that like how do you produce 100K plus a month level? That's my first question. And then the second one is, how does Bilha simply explain IULs? Because a lot of agents that are on here, they're going to watch this and go, I don't know how to say it. I want to say it like she says it because she clearly knows how to say it that isn't confusing, that gets people excited, and they ask more questions or want to move forward. So final two questions as we round. I could talk to you for hours. I have more calls coming up. This is so fun. But so how's your production getting to this level? What are you doing? And, is it apps? Is it huge policies? And then how do you explain IULs? Because that seems to be your number one bread and butter.
Okay. So, like I said, I'm very big on protection, right?
Yes. Okay.
So I do a ton of term policies, right?
Okay.
And I'm getting 3, 4 apps out of one home.
Okay.
Remember, I said I'm not here to just protect you. I want to cover your spouse and I want to cover your children. So in every home I go to, I need to know, we just protected you. Is your spouse protected? Are your kids protected? So I'm getting 3 apps out of one home, right? So it's an IUL on mom, and I'm doing a term and an IUL on everybody if I can, if they can afford it. Why? Because if all they have is an IUL and then they have a terminal illness claim, then that's the end of the IUL, right?
Sure.
If a claim happens, it kind of terminates that contract, right?
Yep.
So I'm trying to make sure that they have a term and an IUL. Your term is for protection. Should something happen, we are claiming from your term policy, so we can keep your IUL for life and for retirement income. So one, I'm doing a term and an IUL. I'm going back to people I sold IULs to that didn't have term policies and just putting a term on them and explaining why you're great. You have an IUL, but should you have a claim, that's it. And then you will not qualify for something else after that. Now, again, like I said, I throw seeds everywhere. So there are times I can use an influencer. I used an influencer in February and wrote 300,000. It just issued slowly and looked like I was doing 100K a month. But that one YouTube video that I did generated 300,000 in production. That's when I went to the farm. I think I went to the farm. I was like, that's enough production to run me 3 months. Took 3 months off. But so I prefer to use persons of influence to do videos.
Okay.
Because it brings in more viewership. The people that called me were not people that knew me, but they called me because they knew him. He's a person of influence. That's why they're called influencers. So they called me because of him. And even when they called me, they say, oh, I follow this guy a lot. I watch his content and I saw you in his video, right? I could sit there all day talking to them. They don't know me, but when I use an influencer, then so I have gone a notch higher where I use other people in my videos, right? So that I tap on my following and their following. And then, of course, I sell across the board to everybody. So I'm doing different things. And then again, this is accumulation of 3 years of planting seeds. I've worked less this year than I did last year. This will be the easiest million I'll write, I think. I probably take more time off this year because my phone is still ringing right now with people that want insurance because somebody sent them or they saw my video somewhere or they saw me in their church. So I've planted seeds in so many places that right now, even if I decided I'm not gonna work again for the next 3 months, my phone will still ring, right? So it's a mix of small and big cases. I write everything. But then I have assistants. And this is what I tell anybody that is writing 200,000. You need an assistant. You need somebody to do the follow-up, because then that is not work that is bringing money. If I'm calling NLG about underwriting, then I'm not selling. I should. So I have 3 assistants that do the follow-up, and it releases me to sell, right? Then
you want to be top producers out there. You heard it here. 3 assistants.
Yes.
Now, are they in the Philippines, or are they near you?
2 are in Kenya.
2 in Kenya. Okay.
And one is here.
1 here.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So I think my production tripled when I got assistants, because then even if I submit 100,000, somebody else behind the scenes is doing the follow-up. I don't know what, and at 7 a.m. every morning, I get a report. We need paramedics for this person. We need to sign these policy documents. So I don't think I'd be moving as fast as I'm moving if I didn't have help. 2, I left my house and went to an office. When I was working from the house, I was very distracted. I was doing laundry at 3 and cooking at 11 in the morning because I didn't have clients in between. So I left my house and started working from the office. And I was more productive when I was in the office as opposed to when I was working from home. Because 1 minute there was a cut in my face on top of my computer, and then I figured I need to defrost food. So it's very distracting. I admire people that can work from home 100% without distractions. But as a mother, there will be a lot of distractions in the home. So I like to leave my house and go to an office. I can put in 5 hours of solid work and go back home. I'll be more productive when I'm not distracted, right? So I had to invest in an office. I had to invest in assistants. So it has helped, move my business much faster than I did before. Now, IUL, I think I've covered the volume question. So I need to go into the IUL.
How do you explain it? What are some simple bullets, etc.? How do we
I think the IUL is a genius, bro. Every time I sell the IUL, I sell it to myself again, and it doesn't matter who I'm speaking to. The IUL still makes sense, whether it's a high net worth client or just a 40-year-old that has done nothing for retirement. And the fact that I sold insurance in Kenya and saw people lose jobs, and the only money they had was the money they had in the insurance, that should tell you people don't save much. Yeah. People don't have much liquidity. I have found people with 4 homes and 0 liquidity. Like if something were to happen to them, they would go bankrupt. So for me, and this is how I explain the IUL, and I start with the retirement conversation. What are you doing for retirement? They will tell you. I have a 401k. How much money is your 401k? $100,000. Okay, great. Do you have anything else that you're doing for retirement? What's your current age? I'm 40. Okay. At what age do you want to retire? And they'll say 60 or 65. And I'm like, do you know how much money you need to retire? Have you thought about how much money you will need to retire? And that's a conversation most people have never had. People know that they're going to retire, but they have no clue how or how much it's going to cost. So I start there with them. So all you have is 100,000. You're 40. So you have 20 years left to work. You need at least $1 million average, and that's not luxury, just basic. You need at least $1 million to have a comfortable retirement in this country. And that's not to say $1 million will be $1 million in 30 years, And I talk to them about people who are 65 right now that can't get jobs. I spoke to somebody who was telling me every time I put in an application, they decline me based on age. And he can't afford not to work because he doesn't have much. And I talk to them about nurses that are working with arthritis because they can't afford to retire. And I ask them, do you want to work into your 70s? Because if you retired with 100,000, let's assume you retired with 300,000, you make 50,000 a year. You're used to living within 50,000 a year. How many years will it be before you run out of money? 300,000 divided by 50,000. How many years before they run out of money?
6.
So you retire at 65, at the age of 71, you've run out of money. Guess what? You're knocking at Walmart asking for a job. Or you're going to have a toxic relationship with your children because you're going to start depending on them. So I started with a retirement conversation. I'm yet to meet somebody with $1 million in retirement savings. And I even like to have these conversations with high net worth people that are heavy on the real estate side. Because the one thing they don't realize is that, one, liquidity in real estate is not something you can convert overnight. So fine, I get it. You have 4 homes. God forbid you suffer a heart attack when you're 70 and you need care, then the most you'll have is rental income, right? What if you need a 300,000 to go into a nursing home? It means you have to sell one of your homes. What if you're selling one of your homes during a recession? Right? So real estate is beautiful, but not as a retirement plan. And I've been having the liquidity conversations with high net worth people a whole lot. You have 4 homes, but you've no money. So if something happened to you, you're selling a house. And then I educate them about capital gains. That's a taxable investment. So whatever you sell, note, we are in a buyer's market right now in real estate. Literally, people are begging people to buy homes that have been sitting for a year. So here you are at retirement, and all you have is real estate, and you're trying to convert that in a market like we are in right now, where you have to knock off 100,000 to get a buyer. So it means not only will you knock off 100,000 to sell that house, IRS still comes for capital gains. And so I tell them, you're going to need a supplemental retirement plan, one that is liquid enough for you not to sell your assets at a loss. And 2, not anything that you're going to owe the IRS. And this is the thing about things we are sure about: death and taxes. We are sure those will happen. Death and taxes will happen. So what am I doing with an IUL? I'm introducing you to a savings plan that will give you 6 to 8% in interest. Who gives you 6 to 8% in interest and doesn't lock up that money? Not a CD. Well, okay, you're very good at the S&P 500. If you needed to liquidate, can you just exit at any time? You gotta wait when the market is good for you to exit. So this is a liquidity plan for you. So savings plan, 6 to 8 compound interest with access, 48-hour access. Where do you get? Even a bank sometimes cannot give you your money in 48 hours if you needed it. They don't keep it with them, right? This is the one place you're going to keep liquidity access in 48 hours tax-free. And I'm having a taxation conversation with people, because when I see people comparing S&P 500 and cash value life insurance, I'm like, I get it. Okay, you say you can get 8 over a 20-year period. And I was asking AI, I love AI, and I asked AI, take $1 million, okay, invest it in real estate, invest it in S&P 500, and then I want to put an equivalent in cash value life insurance, and show me 20-year projections net of taxation. You'll be surprised that a lot of people think they are ahead when they go into real estate, and there's nothing wrong with real estate. I'm just saying that you can't put all your eggs in one basket. You need a bit of everything. You need real estate, but you also need liquidity, right? So that should you need 200,000 for something, you're not selling something at a loss. So at least 30% of your assets should be liquid. And where are you holding liquidity? The bank will give you 0 point, right? Where are you holding it? In a CD, it's taxable, and you can't get it out. If it was tied for a year, you kind of, have penalties, right? For 1K, again, This is the most beautiful place you can hold liquidity. And I teach my clients about overfunding their IULs just to hold that liquidity there. Overfund your IUL because you have 100,000 seated in your bank account that you don't need for the next 3 years. Overfund your IUL. You're still going to have access 3 years down the line when you're down paying a house. But in those 3 years, it has earned something, right? And this is the thing I say. This is the only product. One, covers you death, accident, and illness for life. Two, is tax-free. Three, we give you 6 to 8 and give you 48-hour access. Where do you get that? Show me. I'll go there. I've been looking for real. Show me 6 to 8 with 48-hour access to your liquidity, right? And this is why I tell people you need liquidity. You need liquidity for 2 reasons. One, emergencies. You could wake up one morning and you need 100,000 for an attorney. That's an emergency. How many people have 100,000 seated in their bank account? People have 500,000 seated in their cash value life insurance. Not many people just have 100,000 lying somewhere. So that cash value life insurance, not only is it good for the long run retirement, along the way, it will bail you out for emergencies and 2 opportunities. Your neighbor could sell their house at a loss and you're seated right there with $500,000 in your IUL. 48 hours, you have money out and you can close on that house in 48 hours. So liquidity is a very important conversation that I've been having with high net worth people. Taxes and liquidity is a very important conversation for high net worth people. Discipline is a conversation that I have with people that struggle to save. And I tell people, the reason why people don't retire with much is not because they don't make much in their working life, is they don't put away much. People are not good at making sacrifices. That I want to retire with 2 million, so I'm going to buy less shoes. That doesn't happen. People buy shoes and dump them in Goodwill and buy more shoes. But by the time they're retiring, they barely have 100,000 in savings, right? So, and I tell people the IUL is going to work because it's auto-paid. It's not something you have to think about. Just let the money go. And I tell my clients, could you let this 500 go and forget about it? Stop looking at it in year 3. Forget about it until you're 65 or until you need to take a child to college. This money will bail you up. Right? Yeah.
Bilha, it's absolutely. And I wrote an AP class, I use masterclass too much. So I'm trying to think of new ways to describe the absolute elite way in which you just gave us so much value. I am so grateful to you. Everyone, please drop a BW in the chat below to show Bilha some love and appreciation, because just, I mean, as you're closing here, I think about my 6 IULs I have on myself, my spouse, and my 4 children, and how I'm looking at it. I'm like, it's not really growing. I'm like, okay, just don't look at it, right? The plan wasn't to take it out at 41. The plan is at 65, Grady. The plan isn't to look at Christians at 10. The plan is to look at it at 19 when he needs it for college, right? That's the plan. So stick to the plan. And I love your message there. So Bilha, this was an exceptional call. Everyone, please, how do they connect? How do they see these videos? Are you on Facebook, Instagram, both, TikTok? Are you everywhere?
I'm going to paste it on my Facebook and all the groups that I do live videos.
Got it. Okay. So Facebook is, but people want to learn more from you, want to follow you, want to get into more Bilha elite training. They can find you on Facebook.
Thank you.